G'day guys, Dale here from GottaBTrippin. In this video I'm going to outline some major changes to my travelling lifestyle. If you've been watching my Instagram you'll have a bit of an idea about that. Stick around, big changes happening, and it'll be interesting to see how the next 12 months goes. So guys, for the last 8 or 9 months I've been accommodating myself in Airbnbs and basically traveling, spending up to a month in each location I go to. It's been great, I've had a great time, but to be totally honest, I'm starting to get a bit over the culture of Airbnb, and I really do think it's a toxic model of accommodation and how it affects the society around you. I also just don't like being kind of locked into somewhere for a longer period of time, and the only way you're going to get the discounts and cheaper accommodation rates with Airbnb is to lock yourself in for more than a couple of weeks and preferably a month. So I wanted to diversify my options a bit. So I have therefore decided to pivot my travel, and I'm now using a motorhome to travel around. Still slow travel, still taking my time. There's still going to be the same stuff on my channel as there's previously been, as far as country overviews and city overviews and all of that sort of stuff. But I'm also going to be doing a little bit of how things are going in the motorhome. So the last week has been a very interesting week. I went over to the Netherlands and bought a motorhome. I didn't just do it last week, it's been in the works for a while. But yeah, so purchased this motorhome, and I'll show you some photos of it. There goes a dog racing past me. And there goes another dog racing past me. But anyway, I'll spend a bit of time in this video telling you all about the crazy week that I've had. So stick around. I'll tell you where I bought the motorhome from, how I bought it as an Australian in Europe, some of the problems I experienced, and also some of the things I think are pretty cool about it, including hanging around at someone's property and watching their dogs go crazy. And also some of this first place I'm staying at is pretty cool as well. Okay, so what did I go and do? What did I buy? Well, this is what I bought. This is a second-hand, or probably a multiple-hand motorhome, 7.2 meters in length. It's a Fiat Ducato on a Euro build, sorry, a Euromobile module, and this is going to be my home for the next 12 months. I'll flick a little bit of a video of the inside of it shortly to give you an idea of what it looks like. I'm currently staying on a property in Bosnia, which I'll give you a bit more of an overview, but I'll do that later on when the workers aren't here. Currently they're expanding their services here, and so I'm actually parked up right beside the guys who are doing the work. Well, they parked up beside me. I've been here for a few days now, but I'll wait until they're gone so it's not quite as noisy with their machinery. So this is a quick little walk around the outside and walk through of the inside of the vehicle. This was the day I arrived, so apart from my having a coffee before I did the recording, you probably just noticed my luggage is even sitting outside. There's nothing, I have no bedding, I haven't purchased any interior stuff yet. So after doing all of this, I then had to trip off to IKEA and to a few other places to buy some bedding and some cooking utensils and all that sort of fun stuff. But the van only technically sleeps 2 people, although I do believe you can drop that telescopic table and make a single bed behind the driver's compartment. It's quite a large vehicle. It's 7.2 meters, which gives me a heck of a lot of space. It's an island bed, as you can see there, which is pretty cool for being able to get around the bed. But these are things I'll reflect on in a 3 months in video shortly, because I do have some thoughts on what I might do differently if I were to do it again.
Pretty simple, straightforward, small bathroom and small shower. The shower screen was actually broken when I bought it, and they did a quick plastic weld to fix it. And the first time I used it afterwards, it broke again. So such is life.
Okay, actually, just as I do a bit of a close-up, I can see I'm looking a little on the scruffy side, so you'll have to live with that because I'm not going to re-record everything. um, so you might be thinking, how on earth does an Australian without a residency in Europe buy a motorhome? So what I did was there's a number of different companies who will do this for you. There's a few in France, there's a few in the Netherlands, and you can also do it through Bulgaria as well. I went through a company in the Netherlands. I'll do a little bit more of a detailed thing about that as a separate video. But basically, you can purchase motorhomes through these companies, and the vehicle actually is your property. You get the title to the vehicle, but they, as a company, register it as a company vehicle. That way, as a foreigner, you can still drive a registered vehicle in a country you don't have residency in. So that's what they've done, and so they register and insure it and charge me the price for registering and insuring it. And then I have my vehicle that I can travel in and do as I wish with that vehicle. So that's what I've done. The whole process cost me about €44,000 for this thing because it's a second-hand vehicle. It's 2007 model, so it's got some years on it, but it's only got 150,000 kilometres on it, which is pretty good considering the age. When I'm finished, they'll buy it back off me at an agreed value. I actually don't remember what that value is off the top of my head. I think it's somewhere in the high 20s to 30,000 mark, but it will vary depending on what happens over the time I'm using it. If I put some dents and dings in it, that'll obviously detract from the buyback price. So how has that been as an experience? Well, I think speaking about the experience of actually getting a motorhome and using that as a travel style instead of staying at Airbnb has been a great experience. Why did I want to do it? Well, to be honest, being a bit of an introvert and also having the challenge of language barriers in other countries, it was a real challenge for me to engage with people when I was staying in the Airbnbs. I mean, with the exception of Saranda, where there's a fantastic expat community, I was kind of living in my shell a little bit. So I thought, doing it this way, I'll be staying at campsites and park-ups and airs around Europe with other people that are staying there doing the same thing. And so you might be able to engage with those people a bit more. And that's absolutely proven to be the case. So it's been a positive experience from that perspective. So right now I'm just sitting in my driver's seat, facing back in, sitting at a campsite. Sorry about the change of scenery, but turns out I seem to have lost a whole heap of video footage, so I've just got to do a quick couple of recordings. So there were a couple of things I needed to do straight away when I bought the motorhome. The first of it is to get the heck out of Schengen. I'd already spent a lot of time in Greece and in Malta, so I really didn't have much time. I had a total of 10 days of Schengen time, and by the time I went to the Netherlands and bought the vehicle, went through all the process of transferring money and waiting for that to happen, because I don't like taking off without seeing the money in the hands of the person I'm buying from, I had 5 days left to get out of Schengen. That would have been really easy, except for one massive problem. After all the financial transactions were finalised, I drove about 300 kilometres travelling through Germany, and I'm starting to notice quite a lot of noise coming from my left front brake. And also, when I pulled over and checked, it was getting really hot. So, after bouncing around a few different potential mechanics, most of whom couldn't speak English, I finally found a mechanic in this small regional city in Germany, and they were able, fortunately, to have a look straight away. Turns out the vehicle, I don't know who inspected the brakes before, but they didn't do a very good job, because the brakes were so badly corroded, even I could see the corrosion. And as I was putting my foot on the brake from time to time, the calipers were never actually releasing, to the point where the brakes were permanently on while I'm driving and pushing against them. So pretty major problem. The mechanical assessment was that I needed to replace pretty much everything in the front end brakes. So calipers, pads obviously because they're worn through, and discs. The whole lot had to be done. So luckily they let me park up in their car park overnight, and then the very next day they worked on it straight away. Problem was, that was €1,600. So I'll put on the screen here how much that is in Australian dollars, but let's just suffice to say that I've already blown the living crap out of my budget. Yeah, I'm only laughing about it. That was one of many problems that happened in the first 3 months. I'll do a separate video on keep your eyes open when doing this, because it's definitely something that is worthwhile doing, but you've got to keep your eyes open for these sorts of problems. So that was a challenge for me. So I won't go into more depth about that. Let's get into the rest of the process of getting this thing and my first experience of it, because that's what this video is all about. But it would be hard to miss the point that there was a major mechanical failure straight away in the first day of driving. So something to think about. So like I said, I had to get out of Schengen in a pretty quick order. By the time I lost a couple of days at the mechanic, I had 3 days of driving straight out of Schengen. So I only just made it out before I would have overstayed my visa, and I made a beeline straight for the Bosnian border. And wow, am I glad I went for the Bosnian border. For 2 reasons. First of all, seriously beautiful country. Second of all, met some awesome people in my first campsite. So win-win as far as I'm concerned. So let's step on to the first place in Bosnia. Quick little interruption to the content to put a bit of an appeal out there to you. If you're watching this video and you've gotten this far through, you must be enjoying it. Please consider clicking like, subscribe if you haven't already, and what would be really cool is if you gave me some thoughts in the comments below. Have you been there? What do you think about the place? Have I given you all the information you need? What sort of information would you like to see in future videos? Don't forget, comment, like, and definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Cheers guys, back to the content. Alrighty, so as I said in the last, or a couple of clips ago, I needed to wait for the workers to finish what they were doing. Not all of them have, but hopefully you can't hear the cement mixer going over the back. That took a couple of days, so a slightly different spot to sit in. Sorry about the hat, got a bit of a hat head at the moment, so I'll keep that on. So this place in Bosnia, I'll put the name of the place on the screen somewhere here, so I don't pronounce it wrong, and I'll also put a link in the description for the Park for Night location for it and the Google Maps location for it. But basically, this is quite a decent size camp space. Obviously, we're right at the very beginning of spring in Bosnia, so it's a quiet time, which is why there hasn't been a lot of other people around. But in the summer, this place gets rocking, apparently. There's quite a lot of people come here. It's still being developed quite a bit. There's over the other side of the little rivulet, I'll put some pictures while I'm talking about that sort of stuff. They're building a new bathhouse, washing house, all that sort of stuff. But there are bathrooms and showers and stuff in this building right beside me here. It's run by a guy, Daniel, and his mother and father who live locally, and they are the most incredible people, I swear. I turned up, the other van that was here before me had already been up to their place once for lunch and that, because they were so hospitable and just invited them up. Managed to wangle myself in, not even realise I had. Very happy I was wangled into a lunch the next day, trying out some beautiful Bosnian food. And then just out of the blue, the whole family came down and had a meal with us here in the chalet thing as well. So just really incredible hospitality. So I'm not saying that's going to happen in the peak season. If there's 30 or 40 vans here, I suspect they're not going to be able to do that. But that's the joys of being a slow traveller in a lot of ways. You're travelling all the time, so you're going to be in places in the winter or in the spring. But the place itself, there's heaps of room right behind me and across a little bit further for larger vehicles. They're in the process of just having a talk to them today, and they're in the process of putting some power outlets behind as well. At the moment, you can only get power by parking beside the chalet building, but you can put 3 or 4 campers there. Then there's also on the other side of little rivulet, there's space for smaller campers, and also obviously the whole area for tents and smaller campers. So the flexibility here is huge. If you're doing a little bit of a cruise around in your motorhome around Bosnia, you'd be crazy not to come and check this place out. There's a national park nearby that you can cycle to or go for a quick drive to, or basically all I've done is just chill here. I'm just relaxed. I haven't done much at all. I've gone for a couple of short walks, and there's some really nice forest walks. Probably best to talk to Daniel about which best places to go, because there is a little bit of a lack of definition of the tracks. But other than that, well and truly worth it. This has really been a bit of a shakedown cruise for me for the first week. So not a lot of adventure involved in this first week, other than the adventure of having my brakes fail. And I've got to tell you, I think it was the third day I was here. Got up in the morning. The workers were doing some work out beside my van, so I thought I'd better go out and ask them whether or not I'm in the way. So I got up, still in my jammies, put a big heavy coat on, stepped out of the camper, slammed the camper door, asked the guys if I was in the way. They said no. When I slammed the camper door, the lock dropped. I was locked out of my own camper. Where are my keys? Both sets inside the camper. So 150 euro later, after the locksmith had turned up, probably about 3 hours afterwards, I got back in and managed to get dressed. So it's been an interesting little shakedown, but I've learned a few things. Never leave your camper without your keys in your pocket. Also, as soon as you wake up, if you've got those little deadlocks on the inside of your doors, unlock them before you leave your van. Because if they had been still locked when the locksmith had turned up, the only way to break in would have been to break a window and get in. And that would have cost me a bit more than 160 euro or 150 euro, I think. Anyway, so that's been my first week. It's been an adventurous and yet not much adventure week. But it's week 1. Tomorrow I leave here. Tomorrow is Saturday, so I leave here and I head to another campsite further south in Bosnia. And so basically tomorrow's a travel day, and Sunday will be day 1 of the next adventure around Bosnia. So if you want to see more of me bumbling along, locking myself out of a van, finding various misadventures in mechanical space, I'm really not mechanically minded. Stick around, because I'm sure I'm going to screw something else up. Anyway, other than that, I'll see you on the flip side.